The United Kingdom is a really important trading partner for Canada. They are our third largest single country trading partner. I'm very confident that we will be able to get back to the table. And I would encourage my colleagues in the United Kingdom to let's get back to the table, because negotiating is how we get a deal.
Canada and the United Kingdom are very close allies, historically, culturally, politically, and economically. The ties that bind our two countries run very deep. So why then did the UK just walk away from a trade deal with Canada? That's what happened on Thursday in a terse statement. The British saying, quote, "We will only negotiate trade deals that deliver for the British people." Clearly, they think the current negotiations were not doing that. These talks began years ago. Now they're stalled. Key issues for the British: the ability to sell more cheese and beef in Canada and getting better access to the Canadian market, which many critics say is still far too protectionist. For more, we're joined by Canada's ambassador to the UK, Ralph Goodale, who is in London today. Mr. Goodale, thanks for your time coming on Power Play. As you know so well, the British are such close allies. Is this not a bit embarrassing that after years, many rounds of negotiations, they walk away? Frame it for us.
No, not at all, actually. I think the best advice here is an old British military expression: stay calm and carry on. They've decided to pause negotiations. That's their decision, not ours. We're still in the room and ready to negotiate. But I think the important thing to remember is that trade flow between Canada and the UK, back and forth, about $45 billion worth every year. 99% of it is tariff-free. None of that is affected at all by what has happened in the last 24 hours. That trade will continue, and it will continue to be 99% tariff-free.
Can you tell us what went wrong here?
Well, it really flows from the consequences of Brexit. That is the source of this difficulty. We had a very good trade agreement that covered the European Union, CETA, as you recall, the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement that was implemented a number of years ago. The UK was a part of the European Union and took advantage of the terms of CETA, including the access to Canada for things like cheese exports from the UK to Canada. That was all under the terms of the deal that was negotiated with the European Union. And then the UK decided to leave the EU. They Brexited, and accordingly, they left that trade agreement. And in the process, they left their cheese quota in Brussels. They didn't take it with them. So that's the issue that has provoked most of the controversy here. And they would now like to say, well, let's pretend they're still in CETA and they can still have their same quota. Well, no, either you're in CETA or you're not, and don't ask Canada for two quotas. There's the quota that we provided under CETA, and the UK should have taken it with them when they left the European Union. They did not.
From Canada's perspective, Mr. Goodale, what's the main sticking point in your mind?
Well, there are, as I said, there's a continuity agreement in place. It provides for tariff-free market access on both sides, 99% tariff-free. There's this very small amount of product that is affected by the controversy. From the British point of view, their focus seems to be on cheese access. The reality, though, is the bigger issue down the road a little ways may well be the rules of origin negotiation. And the way you solve that is by negotiating. That's what is on the table to be discussed. And it is a little bit odd that when you really get to the important discussion about rules of origin on manufactured goods flowing back and forth, the negotiation is aimed at resolving those issues, and the UK decides to leave just when the topic comes up. So they may well be more or less shooting themselves in the foot by not participating in the conversation. But we're there. We're prepared to to negotiate in good faith and move forward. And we're ready to resume the conversation at any time.
Let me ask you about the issue of protectionism and specifically Canada protecting our dairy farmers from outside competition. As you know, not allowing more access to farmers from other countries, something the Americans have raised time and again. Is it time for Canada to reconsider how much we protect our dairy farmers, especially if we're talking about the possibility anyway of derailing a major trade agreement like this one with the UK?
Well, again, I emphasize it's not derailed. We've still got that 45 or 46 billion dollars of very good trade in a broad range of goods and services, and it's 99% tariff free. There's a very small portion that is in dispute. We're ready to continue the conversation about that. The UK doesn't seem to want to talk about it for now. That's their choice. But we're ready to carry on, and it does not affect that big bulk of trade that I have referred to. In the case of dairy, Canada made the commitment to our dairy sector many years ago that we would provide them with the necessary support for them to succeed in the world. We have provided access for the Canadian dairy market under CETA, the deal with Europe, under the NAFTA or NAFTA 2, the deal with the United States and Mexico, and the CPTPP, the deal with the countries in the Pacific region. Those are the three blocks of access that we have provided around the world, and quite frankly, we just don't have room to do any more. But that access is there, and those countries that are a part of those deals have access to the Canadian market on very fair and successful terms.
You mentioned the so-called rules of origin and manufacturing. Another issue for the British, access to the auto sector. Is there some room for Canada to be flexible on that front? Because again, the British appear anyway to be crying foul over that potentially.
Well, that's the irony of this rather odd development in the last 24 hours or so. That's what these negotiations are for the two countries to sit down and establish sensible rules of origin for manufactured goods. We've done that in our negotiations in North America. We've done that in our negotiations in the Pacific region. We've done that in our negotiations with Europe. And we're perfectly prepared to have a sensible, mutually beneficial rules of origin regime with the UK. The conversation is just about to get started, and they leave the room. That's a pretty odd bargaining tactic, but that's their choice. We just say we're available to resume the conversation whenever they are.
Hey, one last question about domestic British politics. You're coming to us from London, and as you know, there will be a national election later this year in the UK. Conservative government doing not well in the polls, to put it mildly. Your thoughts on how that might be affecting the way they approach these kinds of trade deals?
Well, I hope it's not a factor, but quite frankly, when governments are negotiating in the context of election campaigns, some strange influences can come to bear. From the Canadian point of view, that's not going to influence our position one way or the other. We are a very successful trading nation. We have excellent trade deals with Europe, with the United States, with Mexico, with the Pacific region. And we're ready to resume this bargaining at any time. If the UK would like to take a break for a while, that's their choice. But Canada is always there to be what we've always been, a very reliable trading partner that can be counted upon.
Ralph Goodale is Canada's ambassador to the United Kingdom, joining us from London here on Power Play. Great to see you, Mr. Goodale, as always. Thanks for your time.